My 27 male girlfriend, 28 female, and I met toward the end of college, and we have been dating for 5 years. We ended up moving in together after graduation and sharing apartment. Surprisingly, we lived together during the pandemic, and it brought us closer together. I loved her so much that I was even planning on proposing to her. Some of her friends and family had even been talking to me about the perfect proposal, and we had been trying to plan it. I really thought of her as my best friend. I never would have thought she could do something to hurt me. However, I was wrong, and now I'm here writing this post. My girlfriend has a ton of friends, but I have a smaller group of buddies that I hang out with. I'm very introverted. She is the poster child for extroverts. She can make friends literally anywhere she goes. I've always thought that was a charming quality of hers, especially since it's always forced me to come out of my shell a little bit more. One of her good friends had a birthday coming up, so she took it upon herself to plan a surprise girls' night for her and the rest of the French group. I even helped my girlfriend plan some of the stuff. Like I said, I'm a bit of an introvert, and some people really think my personality meshes well with my girlfriend's. One of her friends in particular always made me nervous when she was around my girlfriend. I don't know why, but I had a suspicion that she was particularly against me. I had never done anything to her, but it seemed like she was out to get me. She never made it a secret that she didn't like me. She was going to be at the party with my girlfriend, which made me a little uneasy. However, I trusted her and I didn't think she was going to let her friend constantly mouth me all night long. So the night of the party came and I agreed to drive my girlfriend over to her friend's apartment because she didn't want to have her car with her. She invited me up to say hi to everyone, and for the most part, everyone was fine. But the friend that didn't like me made what I thought was a joke about how she knew someone who would be a good fit for my girlfriend. My girlfriend gave her a dirty look and told her to stop, so I felt confident that she wouldn't entertain anything. I went back home and took advantage of the time I had alone to play some video games. I spent a few hours online with one of my buddies. And when I was done, I plopped it out on the couch and started scrolling through my phone. I saw some Instagram stories from the girls who had been at the party, so I looked at them just to see what everybody was up to. For the most part, everything seemed totally fine. I saw my girlfriend sort of running the party and still having a good time, but as time went on, she sort of disappeared from the posts. It almost looked like she left early. I didn't think much about it. In fact, I just called it a night and went to bed. My girlfriend was spending the night over at her friend's house, and I was just excited to see her the next day. When I woke up in the morning, I looked through my phone again, where all of the girls had posted their nights on their official pages. Every time I saw one on my feed, I scrolled through the photos, but when I came across the girl who didn't like me, I stopped. One of the pictures she posted was of her, my girlfriend, and another guy. All three of them were arm in arm and smiling. It struck me as odd because I was told it was a girls-only party, so I didn't know why there was a guy there. On top of that, his hands were very low on my girlfriend's body. I could tell that she was blushing and smiling as she looked up at him, but I didn't know if that was perhaps the alcohol or if it was flirting. I thought back to what her friend said about having somebody who would be a better fit for her, and my heart sank. Did she really try to set my girlfriend up with another guy? I looked at the tag on the picture and found his profile. I knew most of my girlfriend's friends, and I never met him before. However, he and my girlfriend were following each other on Instagram. It was also alarming to see that he was very clearly in a relationship. I didn't want to bring it up when she got back later that day because I didn't want to sound like some crazy jealous boyfriend. A few days had passed, and I was noticing she was acting kind of weird. One of the biggest red flags to me was that she was less willing to spend time with me. She was distant. Instead of watching television shows with me, she would be on her phone in the bedroom watching them. She didn't hug me or kiss me, and we didn't sleep together, which was odd. I never knew where she was when she was going out. Normally, she would tell me that she was going to the gym or the library, but she was slipping out without giving me any information. I asked her about it, and she told me that she was an adult and didn't need permission to go places. We ended up getting into an argument that night, and I could tell that a lot of it was based around things her friend had said about me. She told me when she was angry that she almost felt like I was holding her back from excitement in her life. I didn't know what to say after that, so I just left. When I returned in the morning, she apologized and told me that she didn't mean it. We ended up forgiving each other and moving on. But after several days of the same things happening, I figured that there was something wrong that she was hiding from me. While she was asleep one night, I grabbed her phone and looked through her messages. My mind had been going crazy, and I needed some assurance that was just paranoia. I looked for the name of the man that I saw in the picture first, but nothing came up. Then I searched the word nightclub in her messages to see what came up. There were a lot of messages between her and her friends, but I found one friend named Chloe on her phone that I didn't know. I knew everybody that was invited to the party, they had a small group going. But I genuinely didn't think that my girlfriend had a friend named Chloe. I clicked on those messages and lo and behold, Chloe was actually a man. Well, the man from the Instagram post. I looked through the messages and confirmed all of my worries. They had been exchanging explicit pictures and messages. In one message, he said that he couldn't wait to be with her again. My mind was completely focused on the word again when I read it. The absolute worst part of all of it was reading a message from my girlfriend where she said that I was boring, and she wanted to spice up her life by sneaking around with the other guy. My world felt like it had completely caved in. All of the dreams that I had for my life with my girlfriend had been shattered, and I didn't know what to do to move forward. I left the bedroom and sat in the living room thinking about what I was going to do. I had no interest in staying with somebody who cheated on me, and treated me like I was nothing to them. If she wanted some excitement, I would give her some. Like I said earlier, I was planning on proposing. I had a ring and everything. If she wanted to humiliate me, I was going to publicly humiliate her in front of her friends and hundreds of strangers. Being the extrovert that she is, we thought that a public proposal would be ideal for her. She would have wanted people to see the grand gesture of our love. The day came for the proposal, and it was picture perfect. It was a cool winter day. There were snow flurries in the air, and it was a romantic evening. She and I had gone to a roller rink that popped up in the heart of the city every winter. 3 of her friends and my best friend were hiding in the crowd and videotaping us because they were expecting me to propose. I asked the DJ for the microphone, telling him that I had a special surprise planned for my partner. He assumed I was proposing, so he handed it over to me, and I got on the microphone to get the attention of my girlfriend. All of the strangers in the rink looking over at us were smiling and pleased to be witnessing such a profound display. When I told my girlfriend that I was breaking up with her because I knew about her affair, their smiles turned into a completely shocked expression. There was complete silence in the rink after I said it. Everyone was staring at my girlfriend, and her face had turned as red as a tomato. I told her that I saw the text messages, and I told her that I was going to be moving out into my own apartment, and she would never hear from you again. Her friend that didn't particularly like me was one of the ones hiding away. So I told her that she was a bad person, and I think she should work on herself. When it was over, I reached out to the girlfriend of the guy my girlfriend was cheating with and told her everything. She dumped him, and I saw that she went live on Instagram telling all of her followers about it. "OP, I am so sorry to hear about what you went through. It's such a shame that your ex-girlfriend's friend had such an influence on her behavior, especially to go so far as to set her up with her affair partner. That is an awful thing to encourage your friend to do. She definitely does need to work on herself. As for your girlfriend, she had clearly been taking what her friend said to heart if she was so easily swayed into cheating. I can't believe the messages she sent were so blatantly disrespectful toward you. It sounds like she had a great caring guy and she threw it all away for something so meaningless. I hope you find someone who values you and you don't let this hold you back. Now let's move on to our next story. My wife and I have been together for 12 years, and everything seemed to be flawless in our marriage. We had some ups and downs earlier on, but we really got in sync with each other and our relationship flourished. We started a family. We bought a wonderful house, and we were making sound investments to ensure we could retire while we were still young and actually enjoy our lives. One of those investments was in real estate. I worked full-time as a financial investor, so my wife really took over the majority of that. We bought houses and refurbished them, flipping them so they would be livable so we could rent them out to potential tenants. Everything was going very well for the first few years we started that. There was a bit of a learning curve, but my wife dove headfirst into that and made sure she was on top of everything. We were great landlords. We had a lot of our tenants stay for many years, and they never had any complaints. Through our real estate investments, we managed to find our dream home, which we completely remodeled to fit our vision. That home actually had a large guest house a few acres back on the property. We considered what we wanted to do with it, but we figured that given the size and location, we could rent that out for a substantial sum every month. We posted the listing once it was ready to live in, and after a while we found a tenant. We ended up renting to a young family with 2 twin children. They were very nice and we were happy to have them. The husband was very involved in some technology startup, and the wife was a lawyer. They'd really seemed to have everything together. From what I understand, the husband usually worked for home most of the time and his wife was often traveling for work and spending late nights in the office to work on cases. That left a lot of openings for him to slip up in their marriage. I actually started to get suspicious about him before I even thought anything could be happening with my wife. We lived in a smaller suburb. It was the perfect mix of small town life and urbanization. We had everything you could want in a larger town, but everybody knew everyone's business. One night, I was picking up some takeout from an Asian fusion restaurant in town, and I saw him sitting at a table across from a woman that wasn't his wife. I thought it was odd, but I didn't want to jump to conclusions because it could have been a business partner. His sister, an old friend. I told my wife about it, and she encouraged me not to get involved because we didn't know for sure what was going on. One night, my wife and I got a call from him about a plumbing issue that was happening in the house. We told him that we would be there to check it out first thing in the morning to see what needed to be done. I of course had to work, so my wife went over in the morning to check everything out and call a plumber. When I asked her about it later, she told me that it was all taken care of, and I didn't need to worry about it. A few nights later, I noticed that she got a call from the neighbor kind of late in the evening. When she took the call, she turned the volume on her phone all the way down. That might seem like a relatively normal thing for most people, but my wife's phone volume was always loud enough for anybody else to hear the conversation all the way across the room. It rubbed me the wrong way, but I didn't say anything about it then. She told the tenant that she would be at his house in the morning to take a look at his stove. When she got off the phone, I asked her if she wanted me to go deal with it, so she could take the day off, but she told me that it was no big deal and she had no problem going. By now, you're picking up on the pattern. She would frequently get calls from the tenant who lived on our property, and she would be going to fix the sudden issues that had arisen. I was suspicious that there was something more going on that I didn't know about. I got my confirmation when I ran into the wife at the market. We stopped and said hello to each other. And even though I didn't actually think there was anything wrong with the house, I took that as an opportunity to confirm my suspicion. I apologized for all of the issues they've been having, and she was very clearly confused. When I explained more, she was somewhat angry as I spoke. She told me that it wasn't at me, but she explained that she had suspected for a while that something was off with her husband. She even suggested to me that there might have been something going on with my wife. We came up with a plan together to try and catch them in the act. The plan was that she would pretend to be working at the office one day that she had actually taken off, and we would wait to see if her husband called my wife about an issue. They both fell right into the trap. And shortly after she supposedly left for work, her husband called my wife and said that there was a problem with one of the smoke detectors. My wife hurried over to fix the issue. The tenant's wife gave it about 10 minutes before she drove back home, leaving her car in her driveway so they wouldn't hear her coming. She had her camera out and ready to catch them. She walked right into the kitchen to find both of them having sex. My wife ran home to me and was trying to act like nothing had happened, though I knew the truth. I was sent the video before she even walked through the door. I confronted her with the evidence and she tried to play it off like I was the bad guy for having her recorded. I told her right then that we would be getting a divorce and that I wanted her out of the house. She told me I had no right to do that, but I informed her that I had been working with an attorney aka to my tenant, and when we would go through the divorce hearings, she would be getting nothing from me. She was confused because she might have assumed that if we ever ended things, we would split things 50-50. But that would only be if she didn't cheat on me. The real kicker was that all of the real estate investments were in my name. My wife had no credit or anything like that when we began, so all of the risk was assumed by me. I followed through with the divorce, keeping my promise that she would be getting nothing from me. All of the work that she had done for the real estate had been for nothing since I got to keep it all. I got to keep her dream house, which I promptly sold. Now she is back living with her sister while she tries to figure out getting a job and an apartment of her home. And our tenants got divorced as well. The wife was able to come out on top during the settlement. I actually see her from time to time, while our kids have play dates. OP. I can't believe you went through something like this. You were right not to trust the tenant when you saw him with another woman. I can't help but wonder if he was already with your wife at the time, or if your wife saw him as an opportunity to cheat after that. It really seems like a fateful coincidence that you ran into your tenant at the market and were able to confirm with her. If you were suspicious of her husband, I can't even imagine how suspicious she must have been. It's good that you both got to work together to catch them and that you were both favored in the divorce. I hope you and your children can recover from this betrayal and move on soon. I wish you nothing but the best. Thank you all for taking the time to listen to today's stories. If you enjoyed listening, please feel free to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, comment below with your thoughts on what happened. If there is a story you would like to share with me about your own situation or someone else's, then please do not hesitate to contact me.